It opens. A young woman, Alex, comes into a cemetery to visit a loved one. When she hears a sound. She notices a young woman and smiles at her. Hi, how are you? Visiting a loved one? Yes. Oh, me too. I'm Phuong. Hi, I'm Alex. You're visiting Melena Greggory? Why, yes. Did you know her? I knew someone by that name a long time ago, but I don't think so, no. Suddenly, they both notice graveyard cats are everywhere, crouched beside almost every gravesite. Come on, says Phuong. I think it's time we leave. And she takes Alex by the hand and they run for the gate. Once outside the cemetery, Alex says, "What was that?" And Phuong says, "Alex, I have a story for you." "Look," she says, pointing at the coffee shop across the street. "Let's grab a coffee and talk." "Okay," said Alex. All of these cats, they're really the people who are buried in the graves that they appear next to. In their lives, they each made a bargain with a very bad jinn, who trapped their souls between worlds, condemned them to spend eternity within the cemetery, the holy ground, but they're allowed to transform into graveyard cats at will, and as cats they have physical form and dimension, and have the run of the cemetery, and occasionally a witch will enter the cemetery and she will pick one of the cats to serve as her familiar. And because in this life they have been touched by a jinn, in death they are like JINDAR, warning the witch of danger. Back in the cemetery I was sneaking up on you when you saw me not as a cat but as me. At least as I had looked back in my 20s. I died when I was 88 and yet look at me, I'm young, I have dimension. What, you're a cat? Then you're a witch. But I wasn't looking for a familiar. And besides, how do you know I'm a witch? Only witches have the power to pick one of us as her familiar, and thereby free us from the cemetery that serves as our prison. And that you didn't realize that only means that I must be your first familiar. I do not know how you chose me. You probably don't know yourself, but you have freed me. Oh my God. You have freed me from the cemetery. That means in 15 years, give or take, I will die and my soul will leave this plane of existence. Unless you die before me. And I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I've heard stories of a familiar whose witch died before they did. And without her magic protecting them, they got sucked right back into the cemetery. So close and yet so far. And that will not happen to me. I will keep you safe, even if it's at the cost of my own life. So be it. I will serve you faithfully today, tomorrow, always. For this one day I will be in human form, for all to see. And then, from tomorrow on, only as a cat will I have physical form. Ever again. And when you are alone and you say or think, Phuong, I need you, then I will appear to you as a real, as I appear today, yet without physical form, as a ghost. I will look like I'm real, but no dimension. Other than that, I will live my days out as a cat. You will be able to sense my feelings. I will serve to ground you, to guide you, and to advise you. Guide you against any other witches' tricks. But I will only communicate with you verbally when I am in human form, as a ghost. In a sense, you can say that I am your living witch stone. Why did the cats chase us after I'd already made my choice? Well, they were probably hoping against hope. You know how it is when people get desperate. That was the truth, but Phuong knew that there was much more to it than that. They were also hoping that Alex would drop her witch's stone. The stories are that the witch's stone serves whoever is holding it, which they probably knew was false, but worth the gamble. Phuong Tai said, Phuong Tai, I need you. Yes? You are my first familiar, but not the first one I've seen. I was woken in a dream. I knew it was a dream because it just didn't feel real. And this woman, my aunt's familiar, told me that my aunt was dying, and that she had pulled my aunt's ring off of her finger and had dropped it into the open space in the floorboards just under her bed, and that I must find it. It is my birthright, and it contains the witch's stone. The matrix that my witch line has been constructing going back 1,000 years, all of the magic, wisdom, and memories of my entire witch line is contained within that witch stone, within that matrix. Then my aunt's familiar smiled and said, It is done. And then she rose like a cinder and was gone. During the morning period, I went into my aunt's bedroom and pried open the floorboard and retrieved the ring. Once I put it on, I felt connected to an energy, and I suddenly knew that I was a part of a much larger game, and that there would be danger if I went to a funeral. So I skipped it, and waited a week to say my goodbyes. And that is when I met you. Witches can live for centuries, even eons, yet few do. While the witches seek to restore harmony and equilibrium to the people, the community, and the world, the jinns feed on chaos, disharmony, and division, and are always a threat. Witches and jinns fight in a place between worlds. Alex had been followed from the cemetery, and when she steps outside of the cafe, she steps into this place between worlds, and she has to fight for her life. The cat is a ghost in human form on this plane, and cannot be harmed but can advise. Once the threat has been dispatched, her next step places her back in this world.